Alright, in this week's video we worked on the Ford Escape. Had to replace a sensor for the wife's car. Some kind of turbo boost solenoid thing. Then we got our tractor ready for winter. It's a little Ford tractor with a snowplow. It's ready to go. Then we resumed working on the government cheese truck. Still working on the bed. I want to get the battery mounted permanently so I don't have to undo it no more. And I got the cables ran so I can start getting the electrical tested and then get the outside painted. Made a gas door, things like that. Drilling holes, getting everything to where I can paint the inside of the bed, mount the battery, mount the lights, test everything out, and then work my way forward with the electrical. Most of it's ran, but it was ran years ago and I wasn't very happy with it. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe and keep following along to see how this truck turns out. It is Saturday morning, afternoon, I don't know. The Escape broke. Has an engine light, I gotta fix that part, didn't make it in yet today. Let's turn some lights on. Okay people, it's Saturday morning, welcome back I guess, whatever the hell people say. Our Chinese carburetor and fuel on and off switch came today for the Chinese lawnmower. No, it's a Ford mower. So we're gonna get the gas tank off, try to replace that, get the carburetor on, and see if we can get this thing out of here today. So I'm gonna pull the gas tank and see what I need to do there. So this is what I plow the driveway with, this old lawnmower. It's a Ford, of course. Last year we didn't have no snow, so I didn't use it at all. So now I gotta get her dolled up. I gotta hook up the fuel line, mess with the carburetor a little bit, get her to run, put some inner tubes in it, and we'll be ready for snow again. My buddy gave me them tires, but they're way too small. They're not even close to fitting. But hopefully we can doctor this baby up and get her running. So right now we're gonna see where the fuel line is. We gotta put some gas in it, hook up a new fuel filter and a fuel line, and get her doctored up and see if she runs. I brought the key, I brought gas, I'm ready to try it. Alright, here's our fuel tank. It's pretty much empty. I know that. There's no fuel in it. I got fuel for it though. I'm working on hooking that back up now. I gotta find a new piece of fuel line. I got a new filter for it. And she'll be ready to go. Well, here she is. Ready to go. I gotta replace the fuel line and put the battery in it and see if she starts. I think it will. I'm gonna look for some fuel line, shove on there, new fuel filter, and it'll be good to go. Well, we replaced all the fuel lines, new fuel filter. We're gonna go dump some gas in this turkey and see if we can get it to crank. We got the battery charging, should be ready to go. Alright, we're back in the garage. There's the heat. It's a little noisy. I don't even know if you can hear me with that thing on. But for today, we're going to try to fix this flat tire. We're going to jack it up, take it off. I have a new carburetor on its way and a new valve for the fuel tank. So we're going to take this tire off and try to put an inner tube in it and see what happens. Hopefully I can jack it up just with that jack and the plow, pull the cotter pin and put an inner tube in it, and then I can get back on the truck. But I got to be able to have this thing mobile so I can get that thing out when time comes. So one thing at a time. Okay, so we got the wheel off. We got to cut that valve stem off, fish it out, and somehow through that little hole in the back there, we got to stuff an inner tube in this thing. This ought to be kind of tricky. But first we're going to cut that valve stem and get that out of there, and then we're going to put an inner tube in it and hopefully air it up. Let's see how that goes. Okay, we got that piece of valve stem out of there, so now we got to try to put an inner tube in here somehow. By no means am I a professional. I know nothing about lawnmower tires, to be honest with you. And everybody I talk to tells me that the smaller the wheel, the harder it is. I did do my mini bike wheels, and I had a hell of a time. So I'm assuming this isn't going to be very easy. But let's get that inner tube and see what we can do. Okay, this is the inner tube. So I'm going to try to pry this bead off if I can to get the inner tube in there. Because I don't think my fat hands can shove it in that little hole. I think that's my best bet. So I'm going to get to work and see what I can come up with here. With some tire bars and a lot of prying, maybe I can get that to pop off this side. This side is closer. I hope that means something, like it does on a car wheel. We're about to find out though. Alright, so getting this up wasn't too bad of a job. So now I just got to stuff the inner tube in it and put the tire back down. We got to get the valve stem to come out right there somewhere. Well, somewhere should be a spot where the valve stem comes out. Right there. That's where the valve stem comes out. And then we got to stuff it all back together. So let's see what we can do. Alright, I got a little air compressor here. I bought this to air up car tires at the drag races when I needed a tire inflator. So now we're going to use it to try to inflate this inner tube. It's in. Hopefully we didn't put no holes in it. Holy shit, it worked. It's got 17 pounds of air in it. It's dry rotted all to hell, but it worked. So now I can put this on and the tractor is mobile. When the new carburetor comes and the fuel shut off, she should run. And we'll be ready to plow snow if we ever get a lot. Hell, I might have to look for a mower deck for this thing. There we go. Front tire is aired up, ready to go. So now we can get back on the truck. This sucker will be movable tomorrow. I don't think the carburetor will be here tomorrow though. But I can tape up the hole and shove it outside if need be to get the escape in here. It's got an engine code. Something about overboosting, and I gotta replace a motor. A boost solenoid motor or something like that. So now we're gonna test fit these tail lights. There's our wires. We gotta run those along the frame to the back. Put the tail lights in, and then we gotta run our wires for our bed lights. They're gonna go down each side up under this rail. I'm gonna put the switch probably in this dent, but on the other side, and the wires will come out of up there somewhere. I don't know if there's any place up there. No, I'll probably put a hole in the grommet in that little cover we made, and then they will go down both sides. Okay, this is the valve that's leaking on the bottom of our tank. I got another one from, I think Amazon's where the wife got it. We're gonna see if we can make it work in this gas tank after we get this one out. I'm not sure if you just pull this thing out or what. If I gotta cut it out, if it's bolted on. But we're about to find out. Looks like you would just shove a screwdriver or something in there and it would pop right out. Alright, we're going to see if this one works a little better. We got some devices here. See if we can get this thing pried out of there somehow. I think it's moving already. Maybe. Boy, that's a big hole in this thing. Wow. There we go. Now we gotta get that thing out. But there's that. How in the world? I don't know if these things will do it or not. Hey, they did it. It's out. We got the little thing out. Now we got to put the new one in. Okay, so we got our fuel on and off switch here. We got to shove this in that hole. Should we glue it? Does it just flop in? It's in. So our tank goes this way, up there. So we want this to face this away. Let me double check that real quick. Yes. Alright, so we're gonna put this over top of that, like so, down. Boy, that's gonna be a tricky son of a gun to shove in there, ain't it? We're gonna need lube. Alright, we're gonna try this again. We put some blaster around it. That fits nice. Put some blaster around there. This thing here is a bit tricky to get to go in the hole. I can only get it to go so far. And I don't know if I gotta get this in the hole first or what. Maybe. That only goes down to there. And then once I do that, that's not going in. So it can't go that way. So we're gonna put that back in. We're gonna try it again here. I get it that far. But that last half inch, wow. It's getting closer, quarter of an inch. Boy, oh boy. Believe we got it. So there's our valve. So now we can go bolt this gas tank back up. Okay. Well, here we are. We got our little Chinese Amazon carburetor on there. All hooked up, choke's hooked up, throttle's hooked up, governor's hooked up, and fuel is hooked up. Now we're going to put fuel in it and check for leaks and see if it starts. Okay, we got some fuel in it. We're going to turn on our little valve here. Give it a second, see if it leaks. So far, so good. Is there any gas getting into our fuel filter? That'll tell us if it's flowing. We may not have enough gas in the tank yet. How much gas do we got in that thing? Let's turn on our light here. There should be enough to flow some, I would think. I wouldn't think it would have to be all the way filled up. But it may not be enough, so we'll add a little more. There ain't none in the fuel filter yet. Okay, it's full of gas. So we should automatically have some fuel draining into this fuel filter, I would assume. Let's go check our valve. Maybe it doesn't work. Let's get a light and see what we can see here. It's not looking very good for our valve. Let's put the cap on, keep all the crud out. It says off right there. I'm gonna assume that's on. See what happens when we crank on it. Make sure she's in neutral. Make sure our pedal's down. We have nothing. Alright, so what can we do? There's no pump, it's only gravity fed, and there's nothing coming out. Alright, let's take the fuel line off of here. See if we got anything. Tell me my little cheesy valve doesn't work. Something should be happening here. There's gas in there. I see it. So it should be starting. I don't know where any of these need to be. They're all out. So let's see what happens again. She's getting ready to start. Let's open up the truck. I gotta put this little guy back on. And it goes right in there. It gets a little gasket. And we're ready to go. Lawnmower action is complete. Put the hood on. Air up that other front tire. And she's ready to go. Perfect day. Well, there you have it. We're ready for some snow now. We got to put the washer in the wheel. But let's tighten up those. Those are probably 10 millimeter. Because they're definitely loose. We've seen that spark. We don't want that. We'll get another 10 millimeter for that. Put the bungee cord on there. Tuck all this in. Put the hood on. Put the air cleaner on. And we got ourselves a running snow pusher. Alright, we got the wife's escape in the shop. It has a little code. I don't have nothing fancy. Just a cheap AutoZone, I think that's where it's from, OBD2 reader. And it has this code. That is Overboost code on the turbo. And everything I've read about it says that it is the boost solenoid. They start going bad when it's cold, and they could cause a lot of damage. So I got this little sucker, and now I'm going to attempt to put it on. It's up on the engine on the passenger side. You got to take the wheel and shit off. Of course, nothing can be easy on these new cars. It's weird shit. Get a little light in there. Right up there is the part I'm replacing. I don't know if you can hear me or not, but it's up there. I got the car on jack stands. Got one hose off of it. Now I got to try to figure out where the other hoses all go so I can get them off. And hopefully it won't be that bad. So I'm going to try for some more hoses. And we'll see what I can come up with. But so far, this little car, everything is a pain in the ass. Okay, there's our faulty part. And our plug had electrical tape on it, so somebody's been in there before. Hopefully, they just didn't get it latched good. So now, we are going to latch it in and see what we can do. Once we get it in there, it shouldn't be too bad. Plugging in the hoses, hopefully, and put the wheel back on. Well, up there's where it went. There's our plug. Had some electrical tape on it. That's not a good sign. There is our faulty part, and there's our new part. Now we're going to attempt to put it back in there and get it plugged in and see what happens. Expensive little sucker, so I hope it works. Okay, with a little bit of work with these fat fingers, I got that thing up in there. All I got to do now is manipulate the clamps to keep the three hoses tight and put the wheel back on. So I have to go find a tool. I have an idea what I want to use. I don't know if it'll work or not, but we're about to find out. I think it will for the most part. Well, we got multiple variations of pliers. We're going to see if we can get these hose clamps on. Hopefully, some kind of combination will get them on. I think we're going to start with these fancy ones for that little one on the bottom and work our way around. See what we can do. That first one. Right. Trying to hold a camera and do this is pretty tricky. I don't know how some of them professional YouTubers do it. But right here is the first one we're gonna try. We got that one. Now we only have 42 more, but we're gonna need 2 hands to do the other 2. That was an easy one. All right, we got all them bastards. That's crazy. So now we're gonna go start the car, clear the code, and see if it stays gone. Put the engine cover back on, and put the wheel back on with the swollen lug nuts. So let's go see what happens here. All right. So next up, climb around all this junk. And this is part of the reason why that panel truck's got to leave. So that I have room to do things. So we plug in the scan tool. We gotta turn the key on. Listen to it ding. We come down here and reread it. One code, same code, we erase it. Read it again. 0 codes. So now we want to unplug this thing, shut it off, start it up. Our engine light is gone. There is no engine light. So now we're going to put everything back together, take it for a ride, and see if the engine light comes on by the time we get home. Well, we've driven the Escape about 25 miles. The engine light did not come back on. No codes. So everything looks like we had a successful day. We got the snowplow tractor fixed, ready for winter. And now we got the Escape fixed. Hopefully tomorrow we get to start working on something fun.